Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Arts in Action. I'm Arlene Barshinger, your host for the day, and I'm so excited to have you guys here visiting us on the VCAT set. And I have with me Teresa O'Reilly and a couple of artists in her shop. She's the owner of Clay Creations, which is based out of Fairfield, California. And welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes, I'm so excited. So introduce me to your artists.
Well, on my right I have Angela.
Hello.
Angela is my right hand in the studio, in our clay studio, and works her own pieces as well. And on my left I have Kurt Bragdon. He is one of our canvas workers in the studio, along with Anita, which is also hung today. Both have extremely different types of styles, and I thought they would work better together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We really like to have a lot of variety on the shows, and that is definitely what you brought us. You brought us some great variety and a lot of talent.
Oh, yeah.
So now it's Angela, correct?
Yes.
So now you teach classes at Clay Creations
Yes,
as well.
I work alongside Teresa from anywhere from kids to adults, and I also make my own pottery.
Oh, great. And so you brought some today for us to see, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. So why don't we start off with the portrait behind you, which features, I see cherries and I see some flowers there. Can you tell us about the artist? Is that one of Anita's work? Or?
This is one of Anita's earlier works. Not terribly early for her. She's been working for years. You can really tell where she's at. She works in series. So this would have been a much more comfortable, relaxed family room kind of environment, and she tends to paint in the rooms that she plans to hang. So most of her works have actually hung in her own house before they go out to be sold.
Yeah, I was on a previous show and I was thinking to myself that when you paint, it becomes such a part of you. I wonder if it's really hard for artists to let them go, especially if they're selling them and so forth. So when you're hanging them in your own house, to me it's even more attached. I
think it is. I think you're right, yeah.
So now, did she do the painting? You gave us the name of the painting behind you over here.
This is the Christmas Girl, and Anita actually brought this one in just at the end of December, so it was a little late getting into the shop, which I think is why it's still here. There's some three-dimensional flavors that come with that picture when it's hung, and as the light rises and sets against it, you actually see changes in the work itself. The lace, both on the table and on the doll's dress, both just seem to pop off into like a third-dimensional piece of art.
I was going to say, I really love the lace work on there. It's
amazing.
Very detailed,
yeah.
and it's very interesting on how she did it, and I really enjoy the colors.
Yeah, she's she gets into her holidays in a nice, earthy kind of looking at a fireplace kind of a way. So it was really one of my favorites. I wish she would have brought it into the shop a little earlier.
Yeah, well, it'll probably go this year for sure.
Oh, yeah, if it stays at all. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Now, Kirk, you tend to be a different style from Anita, and you do a little more abstract work. Can you tell us a little bit about the artwork you have next to you?
Sure. I frequently think of abstract as looking down from the sky. So this is loosely based on a landscape, but looking down from the sky. So the blue is sort of representational of water. These are mustard fields from back when the mustard was blooming.
Oh, cool.
And the first thing I do is I pour a layer of string gel, and that's what this line is around here. And once that's on there, then I start trying to think of what I'm going to do next, which sometimes comes fast and sometimes it takes a long time. I find that it helps to stare at the canvas, even sometimes when it's blank, and I'll start to get visions in my mind of what I want to do next, and once I like one of those ideas, I will act on it.
Oh, really? So now, the string gel, tell us a little bit more about that. Is that like an acrylic type of a...
It's a gel medium. Liquitex makes string gel and Golden makes tar gel. They call it two different things, but it's the same thing. And when you pour it, it comes out with consistency of honey. So I will mix paint with it in a little cup and then pour it from above, and laying this down on the table, and that's how you get that kind of effect.
So now, how long does that take to dry as opposed to regular acrylic paints? Or
It dries pretty fast, 24 hours. Usually it'll be, and a lot sooner sometimes, it'll be dry by then.
So do you have to actually wait for that to dry before you can paint the other colors on there, or can you go ahead and start?
I can paint near to it, depends how careful I am. It also depends, sometimes I get different effects by pouring multiple layers on top of each other when it is all wet, and then they blend differently than if I let them dry and then pour on top of them. So
Well, that's really interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of string paint before, so I'm really fascinated. So that's why I'm asking you so many questions. So we're going to move over to this painting here. Wow, look at the colors. Obviously, it's Anita's again.
Yes.
And so anyway, that's actually really spectacular. I wish she were here to be able to tell us some of her inspiration.
She was not well today, unfortunately, so she didn't come with us.
Well, we hope she gets better, and maybe she can come visit us at another time.
Yeah. This is one of a series of 3 that are hanging in the studio, as a matter of fact, and they seem to be great food for us, inspiration for a lot of our clay workers that come in. I had a young teenager, I believe she was 13, just barely, and she did a box using this as her guide.
Oh, really?
And so the nose, we kind of did just a little bit of a spiral to be the handle to the box, but the rendition of the sun, actually, it came out and the colors were just amazing. So these are very inspirational to those around them as well.
Yeah, so if anybody really wants to add a splash of color to a room.
It's amazing. She's done a series of these. One has blue and yellow. The other is done in much cooler dark tones, along with blue and black fading. Really, definitely got a lot of emotion to them.
Interesting. So definitely have to go visit your store to see the other pieces for that too. So now behind me we have, now this is what you were talking about when you were layering.
yes,
Can you tell us a little bit about your artwork there?
So that, I did the purple layer first, and that is...
I love the purple. It
Thank
really
you,
makes
thank
it pop.
you. I knew I wanted to do a huge pool of something, and it came out purple. I did let it dry and then do probably the gold layer next, and then the green layer after that, or vice versa. But I did let them each dry between layers. In the top, I used a palette knife to do some golds and silvers, and I did those even on top of some of the string gel.
Now, what did you use for that, for the golds?
For the golds.
Like I
down
see
here.
this piece here, and I see...
Oh, that's with a lot of probably gel medium, which is a different thing than this medium that I pour. Gel medium comes in different thicknesses, and it can come out, comes out like that, very, very lumpy. And so you can just mix paint directly inside of it, or you can put paint just on the top of it and let it dry. And that one, it looks like I did some of both. I probably put paint on the top of it. It was a big pile, and then I mixed it in and swirled it and let it dry like that.
It's very interesting, and it gives it a nice three-dimensional pop to
Yes,
the picture.
yes.
So this one here is also inspired by you.
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit about this piece?
That one, I poured the blue and green pools on white canvas, and then I let it sit for a long time because I didn't know what I was going to do next. Eventually, I decided to pour all the little green areas all over the place, and then I got the idea of doing red on one side and black on the other, and then at the same time outlining in the other color the complementary color there. So on the red I outlined in black, and on the black I outlined in red to give it a little continuity through the piece.
So, and that's what I want to ask you is that to me it's very difficult to do abstracts. So how do you, what draws your inspiration? Like how do you start, when you look at a canvas and there's nothing on that, what inspires you? What gives you the idea? Like what do you do? How do you prep?
I think a lot of it, I see art as research in a way that you are always building on what you know and what you've done before. And I think it helps to have your own work around you so that you can look at something and get an idea when you're stuck, and it may remind you of something you wanted to do and forgot about. And so that's kind of the secret to it. You keep thinking on what you've done before and what you want to do next. And like I said before too, it does help for me to look at the canvas and visualize in my mind what I want to do on top of it.
So now, like this one here, you said, you want to do water, and that represented mustard seed and so
Yes.
forth. Now, is all your artwork inspired of something that you've seen or something that you have in your mind, or is it just like, you know what, I like this idea and I just would like to try it?
It's kind of both. Sometimes I'll think of an idea and act on it, and other times I just wait till I see it in my mind and then I act on it.
All part of the creative process.
Yes, it is.
So now tell us about this gorgeous painting. right here as well.
This is another one of Anita Ortega's works. The thing and the reason I decided to go ahead and bring this one is like telling the story of the entrance into a special secret garden or special quiet place. And it just so happens that she's also got one hanging at our shop that has that special place that's come after this door space. So you've got a Grecian type fountain flowing into a pond, and everything is just so calm. In that water that's in the piece that I didn't bring, you're going to have to come and see it. The light, again, when the light catches this, she's got an uncanny ability to bring that light and actually moves the work. So there's a lighted area in the pond area, and just like where the lighted area is on this canvas, as the sun rises and sets, it changes the atmosphere in the work itself.
That's like the first painting that we saw with the cherries and the
Right.
peacock. You know, on camera it looked blue, but from my angle it looks purple.
It's a deep purple, just
Right.
from the eye, but yeah, and it's
kind of the same thing with this one here.
she has an uncanny ability to just bring these things that they come alive and they actually change as you're looking at them. I walk by them in my shop and I'll have to double take because something's changed. The light has changed and now the water is brighter, and and not just the color, but the actual atmosphere that goes with the piece.
I feel like that with Kirk's paintings as well, because I know like sometimes I'll look at them because I've been in the shop and I've seen your work, and like I my kids have gone and taken classes there and at your shop for clay classes. And I know when I look at it, there'll be a painting there, and I remember I'll notice another detail as well that I didn't notice before from your painting, depending on what angle I'm looking at and so forth. So the same thing with Kirk's work as well. Now, we have some more paintings that you brought that we could take a look at that you were inspired to do.
This is another one with string gel, tar gel running all through it.
Can I touch it?
Sure. It's
Cool.
dry.
It's interesting, huh? It's got a tactile sensation, yes.
And I know she used black as a background on this one.
Actually, I did the black last.
Really?
Yes, because it makes a difference what you pour on top of. And ironically, I learned this from one of my daughter's paintings where she poured this on a combination of black and white backgrounds. And I noticed on the white background, you got the most detail in the poured layers. So anything that's poured here on most paintings, not this one, most paintings I've done on a white background. But this one's different because I did do blue and greens for the whole background because I wanted a different feel for it.
Now, what did you use to make the black background? Because you know you're not going to be able
That
to
is
paint
acrylic.
That
I use a very small brush, and it takes a long time.
Okay, so a lot of work put into this one.
Yes.
Okay, and so then you have another one. This over here as well.
This one, once I poured the blue, I actually saw that as a river. I didn't intend it to be, but I saw that right away, and so I decided to make this a landscape. And so that's why I used so many browns and
So
greens.
it looks almost like a little pond
Yes.
here.
Yep, that's exactly what that's supposed to be.
And so that one's really pretty too. So for somebody who wants something more neutral with a splash of color, this is definitely a really nice piece to do that with.
Thanks.
And then we have
And this is a more realistic landscape. This too is from looking down from an airplane and vineyards and mustard fields. These flowers I actually saw.
mustards?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And these I actually got from seeing actual fields like that. I don't know what kind of flower they are, but they grow out in our area also. And so a little pond or lake, and that's it.
yeah, this is a fun one. I like that one.
Thanks.
And then we have some pottery pieces that we're coming to now that you also offer in your shop. Now, you have master clay artists, correct? And then you have student ones.
Right.
So can you tell us which ones are the student ones, like some of the stuff that your students are learning?
Out in the front, all of these pieces are actually student works.
Okay.
Going from the elephant, who is a woman that comes in and works, has got no other clay experience. This is her second sculpture piece. And I think she's just done a phenomenal job. You know,
So the elephant, that's only her second piece.
That's her second piece, yes. You know, the thing about sculpture work is it's only one thing at a time, you know. So with
That's
a little bit
fantastic.
of, I think she's just done amazing. She just doesn't let go, you know. She doesn't settle. She knows what she wants, and she puts in the time to get it done. You know, and it is just about that simple. I mean, and that complicated. So, and it really helps if you know where you want it to end up, so that you know how to develop your process from the beginning, which is what we're here for. We help you figure it out. We say, what is it? What's it going to be?
What inspires you?
Yeah, me or them?
The students. So now there's a couple pieces there that I think there was a ship and some dolphins.
This dolphin piece is done by a young woman. She's, I believe, 11.
Aww,
And I wanted to, she did an amazing job, and I wanted to bring that because she actually sold that piece to a client. And on the heart, on the front of that piece, are the you know, like we used to do with, you know, your initials plus whoever. So it's carved into it with the year in front of it for a Valentine's gift. I hope she's not watching because it is her gift. The wife of the gentleman.
Whoever you are, don't watch.
Well, the gentleman that actually asked her to make that for him was Santa Claus, and he's an amazing Santa Claus. So it was kind of a fun thing for her to be able to get in touch with and go ahead and try her hand out there.
Yeah, that's really great. So now you have a couple pieces here.
Yes, I do. Those 3 are mine.
Okay, so all 3 by me are yours.
Yes.
Okay, and then these are really interesting. So what is your favorite pottery to do?
I would have to say throwing. That's kind of what I started out with, and all those 3 are thrown.
Now explain throwing.
Throwing is just pottery on the wheel. You take a ball, you smack it in the center, you center it, and then you make pottery. And that's also how I teach. I teach people to throw on the wheel. Yeah.
So that's your specialty.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
I'm not too patient for sculpting.
Yeah. And now, can you tell us about this really pretty piece? Because this one's really very pretty. Can you tell us about this one?
I can't. This was one of mine. Thank you. This is a double.
It looks hard.
It is a little difficult. It's thrown with one ball of clay. So you're opening twice. You're off-center opening for the small bowl to set and continue as what we call a hockey puck. Kind of looks like a hockey puck when you haven't opened it. And you open the outside bowl first, shape it, and get it pretty settled in, and then you open and start the inside bowl. Now the tricky part is that these have to have a double foot to them, otherwise that center bowl tends to weigh the piece and it'll crack. Many of my teachers say these shouldn't be able to be made. So I'm like, yes, they can. Which,
I've done it.
Yeah, do it all the time.
So my question about this piece then is, what would you use it for?
Chips and dip, vegetables, and a dipping structure that way. My husband and I will put 2 different types of chips on either side of the bowl and salsa in the middle, and we're down for a football game.
How would you clean it?
You throw it in the dishwasher. Well, lightly chuck into the dishwasher. These pieces are high fire stoneware. All of Angela's works, my works, are all at almost 2,200 degrees. So anything that looks like it should hold food is food safe.
That's what I was going to ask you next, is if it was food safe.
We're very conscientious about that. We do use quite a few glazes that are not food safe. For example, the bowl that Angela made on the outside of that piece, I don't know if you can really see it very well, but it's a beautiful teal. Yeah. It's a beautiful teal colored glaze that's somewhat translucent, meaning that you can see through it. The problem is it is not food safe. So it needs to be on the outside of things.
Okay, but it's okay to have it on the outside
Right.
as long as it's not on the inside.
Right, exactly.
So now what about as far as dishwasher as well?
Dishwasher safe, microwave safe, oven safe. You can heat these in the oven, not
Like
a problem.
stoneware kind of
It is stoneware. It is true stoneware, not slip cast stoneware. This is stoneware clay that is wedged, thrown, trimmed, dried, fired to bisque, glazed, fired again. It's a long process. And you never know exactly what you're going to get because clay colors change dramatically. The tan color that's in that bowl there, for example, which is called speckled oatmeal, looks rust in color when I'm using it to put it on because these are basic minerals and they're melting and developing that way.
I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but I'm going to try and show it to you guys.
They're one of my favorite things to make.
That's really interesting how it does that. So now tell us about the pots you have over here.
So on the side next to Angela here, I have a teapot and then what's called a nest egg. My nest eggs are money banks. They do not have an opening at the bottom. You're supposed to break them.
No.
Yes,
you can't
yes,
break
yes,
them. They're
yes.
too pretty.
Break it. Well, that's to keep it safe until it's full. There's a small scroll at the top of these, and it talks about what they're for. It's saving with a purpose. So a lot of these things I give for wedding gifts, for babies, the baby shower gig. If you start and you give one of these as a gift to a newborn child, and put $5 a week in one, by the time the child is ready to go to kindergarten, they have over $1,000 to start their college fund. And in my family, we've used it quite a bit with our grandchildren. So when they're getting ready to go to school, sometimes children have a lot of animosities and anxieties, and they don't want to go, and what's going on? It's a great thing. They finally get to open their nest egg. They're counting it. This is not for coins. This is for cash money. And you're breaking it. You're going to count all that money, and you go to the bank as a family. You open up a savings account for college.
How fun, guys. There
I'm telling you, it's just, it gives me goosebumps every time. And then bring me a shard from something you broke. I'll make you another one for free.
I was going to ask you a question about that, but I'll ask you in a minute. So now, can you tell us about this other piece you have here?
This, well, just for a second, the colors that are in this one nest egg right here, these are wedged into the clay. So there's only a clear glaze over this. It's called a marbled effect that you do with pigment and mason stains.
And that's really neat.
And you just never know exactly where it's going to come out, but I'm getting better all the time. I love this red. Not an easy color to work with. The teapot is done with a wood ash glaze on the outside and a wood type of a knob on the top. So that was a piece of wood I found and just kind of used a Dremel and ground it down to the shape I wanted and the texture I wanted. And the wood ash on the outside of that, as a matter of fact, is also not food safe. But it makes such great display, and it just looks wonderful. It moves a lot against porcelain.
Well, I wanted to ask you too, can you tell us about some of the services that you offer and give us the names of other artists that you have? Because you have more than 2 artists that display in your shop.
Yeah. Goodness, we do just about anything known to clay. I fire outside.
Repair?
Clay repair as best as it can be done. It's never going to be the same.
Because I have a piece for you.
It's never going to be the same, and depending on what the clay body is or if it's slip cast, we work it out as best we can. And we do tend to fix quite a few things or reproduce things that need to be replaced.
Yeah, I had it sitting out front, and the wind blew it over, and it's a beautiful flower arrangement. It's one of my favorite pots ever. And I glued it. I had all the pieces, and I glued it back together, and it turned out great. And I kid you not, in less than 24 hours, the wind started blowing, and it knocked it right over again.
Yeah, I'd put it inside.
Yeah, it's no longer outside, but it broke twice on me, so you're going to have some work to do.
Yeah,
Recreating.
Yeah, we do what we can with that. We do outside firing. We have some relative supplies, basic supplies, maybe 5 or 6 different types of clay available, underglazes, glazes, that kind of thing. We do classes.
I was going to ask you about the classes. So you teach adults, children, beginners, intermediate?
It's whatever you need done. We can set a schedule. If you're an adult and don't want to be around children, we can do that. If you're children and you don't want to be around adults, we can do that too.
Right. Well, I was going to say too is that she has a homeschool community that goes to her during the daytime. So if you have children that homeschool and you're in the area, well, you can take them during the day where they offer clay classes for 2-3 hours.
Right. Yeah. Generally, our homeschool group works on Friday from 1 to 4. They come in, we serve snacks because you can't just feed the spirit. You need the body fed too. And
that's right.
they just come alive.
And they have a great time there.
They really do.
Kids really enjoy themselves. So we are almost out of time, but I wanted to get some information about your shop as far as like do you have a website?
We do. We have a claycreations.info is the website. Claycreations950@AT&T is the email address. We have a featured artist right now who is going to be leaving it at the end of this month. His stuff is on sale, and it's very earthy, lots of porcelain, and it's all wood-fired. So if you know a little bit about the art, you'll really know what that means as far as wood firing. He does a 2-week wood fire on those. And next incoming at our shop, our newest one is, tell me.
I know it's the teacher from Rodriguez.
Baca. Yeah, Rodriguez High, Mr. Baca, their ceramics teacher, is going to be our next featured artist.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm gonna, and his kids are actually going to participate in the Tomato Festival booth.
Oh, great.
So
now, before we forget, you wanted to mention the Lawler House?
the Lawler House is a wonderful venue that's happening in Sassoon. I think Kirk could probably tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I would recommend, just because we're short on time,
Okay.
We only have a minute left, so what about your phone number? Because maybe they can call you
Okay.
for more information about the Lawler House?
Yeah, our phone number is area code 707-425-4034, and I will definitely be more than happy to give you the Lawler information. Also, they have some children's classes on Tuesdays and Fridays for canvas work, for clothing art. They do a lot of work from canvas on T-shirts and things, so you get to use them,
Oh, fun.
which is always a fun thing.
Address?
950
718 Main Street
That's the Lawler House, 718 Main Street in Fairfield?
in Sassoon.
In Sassoon.
Yes.
And then for your Clay Creations?
950 Texas, 950 Texas. We're right next door to Math Masters.
Smack downtown.
Smack downtown.
And so, anyway, so what we'll do is we'll have that, and you guys, it'll be available to you to check out, and you'll be able to go see them. Definitely go visit them because they have a lot. As you can tell, they only brought a very small selection of what they have, and they have so many more paintings. Now, do you have jewelry there too?
We are in process to have jewelry. The beads are being made as we speak.
Great.
But very soon.
So very soon they're going to have jewelry available. So I want to thank you for visiting us in Arts in Action. I wish I had more time with these amazing people. And once again, it's Clay Creations. Check them out. You're watching Arts in Action on VCAT. And you can check us out on Saturdays at 5 p.m. and on Sundays at 2 p.m. on channel 99 for AT&T Uverse or 27 for Comcast. And you can also see us on www.vcat.com. So